Hi, everybody. Welcome to Within the Frame. My name is Richard Fink, and today I have my brand new co-host.
Hi guys, I'm Janett Salas.
Yeah, some of you will remember Janet was with me for my Comic-Con video and a few other videos, and we just thought, we had such good chemistry together, and Janet keeps me from babbling on too long, so we thought we'd bring her on full time now.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad you're here, Janet. So, let's start with today's topic. Janet, what do we have first on the dock?
First, we're talking about a movie called Murderous, and we have the director, Scott, here with us on Google Hangout. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
Hello.
How we doing today?
Very good. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you for being on here. So, Scott, the first question I want to ask about the movie is, well, for those of you who don't know, Murderous is a movie about what was the year of the murder? I remember what was the year? It was
1931.
1931. That was the year. I was going to say 29 for some reason. It involves a real murder that happened, and the whole thing is done with marionettes or puppets. We're having a little debate on what's the proper term for them.
I think when they're string operated, they're marionettes, and when they're hand operated, they're puppets.
Oh, all right. So I have to ask the obvious question: why marionettes?
Well, do you remember the 1960s TV show Thunderbirds?
Yes.
That's what I had in my mind because I was born in 1964, and that show was on TV when I was little, and I thought it was boring, but I loved the way the puppets looked. And so we had no budget at all. So when my friend and I decided to make a movie about Winnie, we were like, how are we going to, with live action, get all the hair, the clothing, the sets, the cars, with no budget? There's no way. So, and I had some of these puppets around because I do a lot of like puppet. I'm a photographer too, and I love to shoot any kind of like doll or a mannequin or anything like that, and puppet, because they're kind of creepy and they're always cool. Baby dolls, right? It's always it always has an impact. So we said, well, that would be a great way to like it. Not only would it be really stylized and memorable and weird, but it would be affordable. So we decided to go with the puppets, and while we were in production on it, when we first started, people would be like, "Oh, what's your movie about?" And I would tell them, and they'd be like, "Cool." And I'd say, "Oh, and we're using all vintage marionettes." And they would be like, "Huh?" And then all of a sudden, like we heard that Team America. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
That Team America was coming out, and there was a puppet movie coming out, and we were so upset because we thought, oh, no one else is going to do a puppet movie. Nobody remembers Team America. We're going to be the only ones with a puppet movie. And of course, like theirs had already been in production, but we didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. And as soon as everyone knew about Team America, then all of a sudden they got it. They were like, oh, like Team America. I'm like, well, where were you when you didn't know about that movie? And I was the weirdo. You know? Everything was cool as soon as they had a frame of reference for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting. Like when I first saw the trailer, I was like kind of, it was just such an interesting idea to put like a murder noir crime story in, with marionettes. That's why I want to ask you, like, why did you pick that story?
Well, I love that story, first of all. My mother was into true crime. So our whole bookshelf when I was a little kid was Helter Skelter, The Boston Strangler, Jack the Ripper, Winnie Ruth Judd. Like, she had a book on every murder that ever happened. The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, volumes 1 through 3. She was the nicest lady, but she had this dark, morbid imagination. And so I grew up reading all this stuff. And we had the book that Jim Dobkins wrote on Winnie Ruth Judd, the very first book. And it had a picture section. And I'm gay, so to me, like, a story has to have some feminine interest. It has to have some estrogen in there somewhere, and it has to have a little glamour. And I thought when I was little that Winnie was a sort of glamorous. Mm-hmm. So that was like an interesting contrast to me to the actual crime and the things that happen. And you got this woman who's kind of like, the pictures to me look like movie stills, And so the whole thing had this kind of cinematic sense to it, and it felt like a movie. I don't know. I was just attracted to it. So it stuck in my head growing up. And then, of course, there was the second book that Jana Bommersbach wrote in the 90s. And I got that, and that kind of renewed my interest.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry about that. I was about to say something. Because I wanted to ask about because that's a really interesting angle for the story, and to play it with marionettes. How long did it take you to film it? Because I can imagine marionettes it's a long process, and
You know what's funny? As gonky and wonky as they look, like they're not sophisticated marionettes like in The Sound of Music or something where there's like a famous marionette sequence and each puppet has like 16 strings and 3 people operating it. These were like, all you can really do to operate them is waggle they call them the airplane control, the thing that has the strings.
Mm-hmm.
And they look, there was no sophisticated way to get them to move. And it was kind of crippling physical work because you're stooped over, your back is starting to hurt, your neck is sore, you're pouring sweat from the lights. And so it took 3 years because we kept stopping. We kept giving up, basically. Then it came time to edit it, and I was like, this thing is a mess. I can't make a movie out of this. But eventually it did form kind of a ball, and I don't know if it's really a well-structured movie, but I'm very proud of it, and I definitely think it's got it has interest, it's got imagination and whatnot. But it was hard work, and it took 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, I definitely think that a lot of people found interest in it since I read an article on Cinephiles about it, and it said that you had been to a lot of film festivals. What film festivals have you been to?
Well, we tried to get in a lot more than we were accepted into because it's a strange category. It's not really animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really live act. It is live action, but it isn't. So it premiered in 1903. It premiered in 2007 in Rochester, New York, which is where I'm from, as part of a film festival called Image Out. And that's a sort of gay interest. And it just marginally sort of qualified because the only thing gay about the movie is me, the filmmaker. I mean, there's a little gay, like, were the women, in a lesbian relationship, and we don't know for sure whether they were or not. Mm-hmm. So that kind of qualified it. But that was the premiere, and it showed in Phoenix the same year at the Trunk Space. And it showed at a film festival in LA called DIY, Do It Yourself, film festival in Los Angeles. And it won Best Animated Feature, even though it's really not animated. It won Best Animated Feature in 2008. And that's the extent, really. So I can't really say it's been in a lot of film festivals. It's been in 2. But at least it won an award in one of them. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy. And it's showed every year in Phoenix for 10 years. So I'm really proud of that, too.
See, that was my next question because it's kind of become a tradition now. Every day on the anniversary, because the murder took place on October 16th, which is coming up. And you screen it every day. Is it every year on October 16th, or do you guys typically change for the weekend, or...
We always try. Now, we've showed it on weeknights before. I mean, my goal was always to show it on October 16th at 10 p.m. when Winnie arrived at the house. So you could really get that sense of we're walking together back through time on that thing that happened tonight. It's like telling a campfire story.
Yeah.
100 years ago tonight,
Yeah.
But we can't always get the 16th because sometimes it was booked and, whatever. But this year it's on the 16th, which I'm really excited about because it's an anniversary year too. It's the 85th anniversary.
And then your 10th?
Of the crime.
And then your 10th anniversary, or is it a 9th anniversary this year?
10th. Because 2007 was the first year. So if you count 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, this year makes 10.
All right. I mean, congratulations. That's a pretty big milestone right there.
Yeah.
I'm so proud. Yeah. I mean, like when we made it, it was supposed to be like, we weren't even trying to make a real movie. We were just bored. And we were like, let's make a movie about Winnie. And I thought it was going to be like 20 minutes long. It would only be for us to laugh at and watch ourselves. And it kept getting bigger and bigger. As you know, if you're familiar with the story, it's very hard to condense and tell in a short time. So it kept getting longer and bigger and more of a monstrosity until finally it was a feature by default. But yeah, I mean, it's I like it. I'm proud of it.
Well, that's awesome. So it's screening on the anniversary, October 16th at Film Bar at 7 p.m.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, are there any other projects that you're working on now or will be in the future?
Yeah, there's 2 I can mention. I'm writing a book, like everyone else. I'm writing a book on Winnie, and I'm at the halfway point right now. but I like the way it's coming out. I feel pretty good about it. It's called, at least the working title is Winnie Ruth Judd, the Other Alice in Wonderland. Because to me, she's Alice. Like she literally falls down a rabbit hole, which is the night of the crime. She gets on this train, which is also like the rabbit hole. When she gets out the other side, she's not the same person, and she doesn't have the same life, and everything is weird from then on in her life. And whatever you believe about her, whether to whatever degree of guilt you think that she is responsible, the whole thing just kind of reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. So we worked that into the theme and into the title.
Well, do you have any more questions?
Oh, and I have an album. I was in a band for 6 years, and there's a record label in Rochester called City of Quality Records. I was the singer, and I wrote all the music. And they're re-releasing our first album, which came out in '91 on vinyl.
Nice.
So that'll be weird. So I've got this music thing happening and the writing thing happening at the same time.
So we have a writer, a songwriter, a screenwriter, a singer, director, photographer, and puppeteer. That's a pretty good resume right there.
What don't I do?
I know that's the real question. I can imagine your resume is extremely, a lot of skills on that one. Well, Scott, thank you for coming on board and talking to us about it.
Yeah,
we were very excited to talk to you about this movie because when I saw the trailer, when I saw the stuff where I was really creeped out because I have a fear of puppets and a fear of marionettes. So it already played into some of my fears, and it looks like a really good spooky Halloween movie to watch.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's sort of culty. It's a little bit campy. You'll see.
Well, we look.
Thanks for having me on. I'm glad we were able to do it this way.
I know.
I wasn't able to be in Phoenix today. I'm glad that we could do it. Thanks to technology.
I know.
Yeah.
The joys of technology. Well, thank you very much, Scott.
You.
Thanks, guys.
You have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too.
Okay.
So that was Scott. And Murderous is playing, just in case any of you who didn't hear it, it'll be playing at Film Bar this Sunday at 10 p.m.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. That's what he said, 10 p.m. 7 p.m. So check it out, guys. It looks really creepy. Looking for a good Halloween scare. There is no Halloween movies in theaters right now, so you have no excuse. Go see it right now. Last little bit of Phoenix film news we want to talk about is Bus Rider Tales. Bus Rider Tales, I believe from what we found out, it finished filming and they just released a trailer for it, correct?
Yes. I believe so.
Yes. We were just told about this right before we came on, but again, like we said, Phoenix film, always great to see more talent. I believe it is a prequel to the film Tales, that's what they said. It was a prequel to one that they just released online, or they released a trailer for that one online. So you can go check it out. Like I said, always support local Phoenix talent.
Also, in film Arizona news, there was FearCon that just passed in the last weekend. Just to kind of highlight some of the people that won. Fangoria FearCon is a film festival and also a convention. And it took place on October 7th and 9th. And just to highlight the feature that won Best Feature was Peelers by Steve Schnells. Best Short was The Call of Charlie by Nick Spooner. And Best Arizona Short was From Rise to Set by Adolfo Navarro. So check those out if you can.
Real Halloween theme we got going here. Obviously, Halloween's approaching, so a lot of spooky stuff. And like I just remembered now, Bus Rider Tales will premiere in November this year. So that's next month. Oh my! Yeah. I didn't realize how close November was. So, and now we're going to move on to mainstream film news. I guess the first big one we should probably talk about is Janis Joplin. They announced a biopic on the legendary singer with Michelle Williams from Brokeback Mountain and My Week with Marilyn set to star. Man, I feel like I've been following this movie forever. Like I remember them talking about this as far back as 2007.
Really?
They've had Amy Adams attached to it at one point. Zooey Deschanel, I remember, was the longest one attached to it. Who was the other one? God, it just feels like so. Renee Zellweger, that was the one I was thinking of. Yeah, they've all been attached. There have been numerous other actresses. And yeah, they've been trying to get this movie off the ground for a while. I think Michelle Williams is the right choice, though. Because, first of all, what a talent. I mean, My Week with Marilyn, I still think she should have gotten the Oscar that year. She was great. And I love Janis Joplin music, so it's one of my, it's one of those things that I've kind of always waited for. She died at the age of 27, so.
Right.
You don't know much about Janis Joplin. Say, someday I'll teach you about music. Someday.
Okay.
The next one we have is actually a sequel or a spin-off, I guess. Bad Moms was one of the biggest hits of the summer. You and I both saw it.
Mm-hmm.
We both liked Bad Moms. Bad Moms was really good.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I didn't expect to like it at all. I was really shocked.
Really?
I just had no idea what to expect from it. I was like, it's going to be some comedy, but I laughed a lot in it. So.
I went into it with high hopes. Mila Kunis is like the best. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really funny. And like I mentioned before, like the actor, I forget his name, that was also in Suicide Squad. He blew me away knowing that he did both of those roles.
But then like a few weeks of each other, those movies came out like 2 weeks apart, so that was pretty crazy. Well, Bad Moms actually was, for a lot of you who don't know, one of the surprise hits of the summer. It only cost $20 million to make, and it made over $100 million at the box office. And they really don't make mid-budget movies like that anymore, so it's kind of good to see that. But that also means a movie that does that well on the original idea is also going to get sequelized. Mm-hmm. And they're doing a sequel, or a spin-off, and they're calling it
Bad Dads.
Bad Dads. I think they kind of missed the point of the...
Yeah.
Like, isn't Bad Dads every other comedy movie? Like, isn't that just... Like, I can name you, like, The Shaggy Dog. That just comes off the top of my head. Like, really any movie with, like, any movie with a dad who's, like, too busy at work is a bad dad.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like it's missing the point.
Yeah, like I really loved Bad Moms just because it took something that we all kind of know, like moms are underappreciated and they go through a lot, and just the fact that these three strong women just like took it upon themselves to make something out of it. And I don't know what Bad Dads is going to be about, because I just kind of, I don't know. We'll just see.
Yeah, I mean, like Bad Moms was funny because it's sort of like, it allowed women to be in the roles that are typically reserved for men in comedy, so... Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of a little bummed. I'd rather, if they're going to do a Bad Mom sequel, I'd rather just see a traditional Bad Mom sequel with all of them back. But, we'll wait and see. The other bit of news is when we were doing our show last week, as we were filming, they officially wrapped Justice League. And Zack Snyder released a little behind-the-scenes rap video. And that's rap, R-A-W-R-A-P. See, she thought it was rap as in like a rap video.
Why would they release a rap video?
Epic rap battles of Justice League. But no, they released a rap video and it was really cool because we got to see a little bit of behind the scenes features. We got to see a little bit of Aquaman and Flash. We got to see what Cyborg's suit looks like before they do the CGI on it. We got to see a little bit of Superman. It just looked like a playful set. Looks like a lot of fun. I mean, when you get actors like Ben Affleck and Ezra Miller and Henry Cavill, it's going to be kind of funny on set. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And then we also got our first look at Mira from Aquaman, played by Amber Heard. And you know me. You've known me for a long time. I'm a huge Aquaman fan. I'm the only person on the planet. I'm like one of 5 people that can say that. And when I saw her costume unveiled, it was like she literally stepped out of the comics. It was so cool. Her Atlantean armor looks on point. And Amber Heard is one of those actresses that I think is really underrated. I'm really excited to see her alongside Jason Momoa. As far as I know, she's only going to have a small part in Justice League. Mm-hmm. Like, it's mainly just using it to set up Aquaman's world. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to get a glimpse of each of their normal lives and then before they join the team. So, she'll have a bigger role in Aquaman. Mm-hmm. So, did you see the picture? Or?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
it looks pretty epic.
Like, it's still going to be so cool. Please don't suck. Please don't suck.
It's funny, like, whenever I mention Aquaman to someone, like, someone that doesn't really know film, they're like, Aquaman from, like, SpongeBob? Like, Mermaid Man? Like, Merman? I'm like, no, Aquaman, like, Marvel. Like, it's so frustrating.
DC.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Right, DC.
It's all right, guys. She had a few to drink before the show, so...
I have a whole thing with Marvel.
The next bit of news is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is coming out in a month from now. It comes out on November 18th. And they had a special fan event, and they basically confirmed that originally Fantastic Beasts was going to be 3 movies. It was going to be a trilogy. Well, Warner Brothers has decided it won't be a trilogy. It'll be 5 movies in the Fantastic Beasts universe. How do you feel about that, Jan?
I think that... hopefully that's a good choice, because I know some films they try to cram a bunch of stuff in, or they take stuff out from books, the original story, and people get pissed off. So hopefully, making it 5 films allows the story to really develop and take off.
Hogwarts First Class. If you're all watching, Henry Cavill is Godric Gryffindor, and Benedict Cumberbatch is Salazar Slytherin. Make it happen, Warner Brothers.
Oh my God.
and then followed by Hogwarts Days of Future Past, where they go and rewrite the timeline. And then Hogwarts Apocalypse, where it all goes to crap. I'm not bitter. I'm fine.
All right. Fantastic Beast.
Fantastic Beast, November 18th. Super excited, super pumped. We're going to have a review for that on the channel here when it comes out. Mm-hmm. So excited. It's like Star Wars all over again. And Disney, it feels like I can't do a show or like go a week without
Talking
Disney.
about Disney.
Without Disney announcing they're remaking another animated film.
And I love that. Like, classic animated films are, like, in the middle of my heart. And to see...
In the middle of your heart. Not the left section of your heart or the right section of your heart.
The middle part.
Not the middle of your heart.
And just to see that they're being redone live action, that's so exciting. I'm really excited.
Yeah, they started this trend like in '96 when they did 101 Dalmatians and just never did anything after that until Alice in Wonderland and Maleficent. Which after those ones I was like, don't do any more of these. These were awful.
You didn't like Maleficent?
I hated Maleficent. I thought Maleficent was...
Maleficent.
I liked elements of Maleficent, but overall it was like Angelina Jolie was born to play Maleficent. Mm-hmm. And she was great in that. But everything else was garbage. I really hurt her feelings on that one. But, and then, yeah, but after Cinderella and Jungle Book, like, Jungle Book blew me away. And I didn't expect to like Cinderella at all, but I love Cinderella. So, and then Pete's Dragon I didn't get to see, but I heard it was great, so I want to check that out.
I didn't see that, yeah.
But, so basically we got 2 bits of news. The first one we got is that they announced Aladdin. They're remaking Aladdin. And that's with Guy Ritchie, the guy that did Sherlock Holmes and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He's got that new King Arthur movie coming out. He is set to direct. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty big deal, doing Aladdin, because especially after the tragic death of Robin Williams, those are some big shoes to fill for the genie.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely glad that they're doing Aladdin, and I'm really curious to see who they cast, just because, like you said, they're big shoes to fill, and like when we think of the genie, we automatically think of him, and so who knows, like, who they're going to cast and if he's going to be able to really live up to the role.
Is there anybody you have in mind that you would cast as the genie?
No, honestly, like, in my heart, it's Robin Williams. I don't know.
I'm going to say right now, and that's a weird choice, but my choice would be Lin-Manuel Miranda from Hamilton.
Why?
Cause I just feel like I don't want to see like the genie do like the imitation thing. That was such Robin Williams thing. It's like I'd rather them do something different. Uh-huh. And he had because he comes from a theater background, he's such a theatrical actor that he could like really bring this sort of presence and this fun sense of like Broadway sensibility to the genie.
Maybe.
So that's I just when they announced it and that, like someone asked me would you get to play the genie, that was the first name that popped into mind. Mm-hmm. That or I heard someone say Kevin Hart or Dwayne Johnson. I mean, I feel like Dwayne Johnson playing the genie could be kind of
weird. That'd be interesting.
Big old buff genie like Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
Don't, Dwayne. You have enough movies to work on. You're like scheduled for 10 of them. Take a break.
How you could like just group them together, Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson.
Because they're doing Jumanji together also,
right,
so it's like. But anyway, so Aladdin. Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of talk about the
Mulan.
Yeah, Mulan, because that will bring into a bigger story about the casting. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, Disney announced that they were doing a Mulan remake. Mm-hmm. And that one caught a lot of the internet on fire.
Yeah,
because,
like in 2 days.
Yeah, in like the span of 3 days, I reported 3 different news stories. And basically the first story that broke was about a spec script that was considering changing the romantic lead to a white trader.
Well, to change the whole lead into a white man.
Yeah, that's what it was. That was the other thing. I was like, man, like you got to think that like whoever pitched
Mulan,
that.
It's named Mulan.
Yeah, that's some tone. That's being tone deaf like to the ultimate extreme. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Luckily, that didn't happen. Disney decided to go for a traditional take. They're going to go for an all Asian cast, which I think is great. We need more representation in film, especially after the debacle this year that happened with like Ghost in the Shell and a few other high profile movies.
Yeah.
And I think they're also going after Asian directors. I know Ang Lee passed on the project, which is a shame because look at the talent that Disney's going after: Jon Favreau, Kenneth Branagh, Tim Burton, Guy Ritchie. If you throw Ang Lee in that mix, like that's a pretty like cool team of people to have directing them. I don't even know who I would get to direct Mulan or Aladdin or who I would cast for. Well, we already have a director for Aladdin, but for Mulan, I have no idea. I feel like Justin Lin is busy with Hot Wheels, and then James Wan is busy with Aquaman. A lot of great Hong Kong filmmakers that they could look at too. I really hope they kind of expand their reach.
Yeah, bring someone else new in. I'm really excited because just Mulan has always been like one of my most favorite classic Disney movies. So that one I'm looking forward to even more than Aladdin.
It's funny that you say classic, even though it's only like 20 years old.
It's classic.
It's like
it's classic.
It is classic. I love it. And guys, please keep I'll Make a Man Out of You in the movie.
Oh my God.
Like, you want to. Like, that's your main reason for remaking Aladdin is just to get an excuse to get that song on the
I'm really
radio.
like, how are they going to do the Hun, like, attack, or when they like climb up the pole, like all those things that they did in the animated movie, like please keep those in.
just remake the whole movie. But anyway,
shot by shot.
and also if anyone's listening, the next Disney animated film, I'm going to call it right now, the next one they're going to announce is either Hunchback of Notre Dame or Peter Pan. That's what they're going to announce next week. With Mark Ruffalo as Quasimodo.
Oh my god.
It's going to happen. And Gal Gadot as Esmeralda. Also, if you want to do Winnie the Pooh, I would totally be okay with that.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh's my favorite Disney animated film. That's my absolute favorite. So
from the bear, from the movie where he attacked Leonardo DiCaprio.
The Revenant. He'll play Winnie the Pooh.
He's that bear.
That was actually the working title for The Revenant was Winnie the Pooh college years.
Oh my god.
But anyway, so that's as far as we have for that. But we also have the Netflix theaters out for. Jan, do you want to explain the Netflix theaters? You know about that a little bit better than I do.
Yeah. So I recently heard, I think it was 2 days ago, maybe, Netflix announced that they were going to start releasing all their original films in theaters simultaneously as they release them on their Netflix platform. And I think they're going to release them on iPic, which is like a dine-in theater. And I just thought that was really interesting, just because, it just brings up a lot of different things like, why would you want to go to the theater if you can stream it for free in the comfort of your home? But then, I know, the awesome experience of just seeing a movie in a theater. So, it's a really interesting decision that they made.
I know one of the main reasons they did it is so some of their films could qualify for Best Picture because there was a big push for Beast with No Nation last year.
Yeah.
And because it didn't screen at a theater, that was one of the reasons why they couldn't qualify it. Mm-hmm. And Idris Elba did a great performance in that, and Beast with No Nation really was one of the best films of last year. So, although let's not forget, guys, Netflix also released Ridiculous 6, and I don't think anyone wants to pay to see that in theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, people pay to see Pixel, so I don't know. There probably is an audience to see Ridiculous 6 in theaters.
Yeah.
Netflix, can you do a Defenders movie along with that miniseries and release that in theaters, or an Agent Carter movie? Just give me more. Release Stranger Things all in theaters.
Oh my god. I don't think they're going to binge watch TV shows in theaters.
Look, we do movie marathons in theaters. We can do television.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be interesting. So yeah, that's a new turn that Netflix is doing that I thought was really awesome.
And you know what they do at theaters? They show trailers. We have a lot of trailers to talk about today.
Right.
First one up is Power Rangers. Power Rangers dropped at New York Comic Con last Saturday, and you have no familiarity with the Power Rangers franchise, do you?
Not really.
I don't either. I was before my time. By the time I was a kid, it was more...
I don't think it was before your time.
Okay, but by the time I was a kid, it was more Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
When you were 12.
Oh my god.
It definitely was a thing during our childhood.
Yeah, but when we were kids, it was more Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. So anyway.
Power Rangers.
I hate you so much. Anyway, so I had no real interest in this film. I knew it was going to happen eventually, and I knew because of the big cultural phenomenon it deserved the pomp and circumstance that you would give a big budget treatment that we gave Transformers. That, it's been 20 years, the kids who grew up with it are now adults, and they want to see it given the treatment that they thought it kind of existed in their minds, in their dreams. And the trailer convinced someone like me who isn't a Power Rangers fan. I'm actually kind of excited for it. That was a pretty bomb teaser.
Yeah, like I told you, I kind of thought it was Chronicle mixed with
Breakfast Club.
I didn't get that whole Saturday thing, they all hang out, whatever. And then Fantastic Four,
which is the worst thing you can say to anybody right now. It's it reminded me of Fantastic Four before we knew the movie was gonna suck, guys. When the trailers were for Fantastic Four were pretty cool.
Yeah,
they had this cool atmosphere to them. So
the big inciting moment, in the trailer, reminded me of the inciting moment in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
When they get their powers. So, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of different stuff happening. It might be good.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, it'll probably be big and dumb and fun, like a Power Rangers movie should be. Mm-hmm. And, I was kind of glad that it was a tease. It was just kind of setting up the characters, and we don't really see, the kind of traditional Power Ranger stuff, like the Zords or the robots or anything until, the end of it. We see, a glimpse of the morphin suits.
Yeah.
Made me want to go, it's morphin time, even though I never really cared for it.
What?
And then, oh my God, yesterday on Good Morning America, Star Wars Rogue One trailer dropped. You go first.
It looked good. I'm I don't know, I feel like I'm going to get stoned to death I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. Like, I love the movies and they're cool. I just don't get why they're so hyped up. I thought the trailer was like cool and the score was epic, and I'm interested to watch it. But I'm just gonna let Richard talk now.
I know you're within the frame, but I want to push you out of the frame now for that comment.
And that is why.
But I feel like I should have been more excited for this movie than I have been. Like, I'm excited for it because it's Star Wars, but I think just because we had Force Awakens, it's almost like you have a big steak dinner. Like, I'm so full, and you can't tell me that, all right, we're bringing like chicken fried steak to the plate. It's like I'm still so full. Like, I'm still gonna eat it. I'm still gonna be super pumped for it, but it's like, and like the
analogy.
it's an apt analogy. But the trailers so far they've gotten my interest just because they're Star Wars, but they haven't like gotten me super excited. Like, I feel like I should have been. This one though got me pumped.
Yeah.
Like, this is the one that made me be like, okay, that's how you do a trailer, because we got a better idea of the story. We got a better idea of like the character motivations, because Felicity Jones, who's a wonderful actress, and I love Felicity Jones, but like her character in the last trailers has always been kind of like, just something about her kind of bugged me. But this time we get a real insight into who she is, her main plot, her main motivation, and it was just kind of refreshing to see her not be snarky in this trailer. There was a little bit more more nuance to her, and obviously those black stormtroopers, the shadow troopers, like they look so cool. And then there's nothing cooler in the world than Darth Vader coming out like a mofo, just walking straight down the hall, gonna tell this guy off like. Because that scene in the trailer, that's basically leading up right to the events of the first Star Wars. Like, you failed me, I'm going to choke you out, and I'm going to go get those plans myself, you little...
Calm down. You're going to, burst something.
I'm so excited!
I feel like I level out his geekiness excitement.
She does.
With
she moms me. She's like, Richard, stop causing a scene on the internet. Even though that's probably like the least amount of someone's caused a scene about a Star Wars movie ever on the internet. Anyway, so Rogue One... I thought it was pretty rad. And the last bit of news we have today, we actually have a special guest for, because Doctor Strange on October 10th, they did a special IMAX screening that gave audience members an exclusive 15-minute sneak peek. I couldn't go because sadly I had to work, but our guest was able to go. So please welcome to the show, Brian Kirchgessner.
Hey guys, how's it going?
So Brian, you got to see it, you lucky dog. I was about to curse at you, but I realized we're alive.
I did, yes.
Tell us about what was the experience going to see it? Like, what was the environment? What was the atmosphere?
Most people were really, really excited. I myself didn't really know fully what to expect from it, just because I haven't been actively paying attention to the trailers for it. It's one of those I've been trying to go in cold for the most part. But
you still went to a 15-minute sneak peek.
True, but
you jerk.
He went cold into the sneak peek.
But essentially what we saw was an extended trailer with what seemed to be a few complete or near complete scenes. And mostly what they were doing were introducing the main characters of the movie. All this seemed from the first half, so it was kind of setting up their relationships and generally the conflict. Like, for example, the relationship we get between Doctor Strange and Rachel McAdams, who's presumably his love interest in the movie.
Yeah, I believe she's the night nurse, as she's in the comics.
I thought that was debunked.
Is she not? Okay, is she not? Oh, you're right. They made Rosario Dawson the night nurse, but still.
But and then Doctor Strange and who's a supporting character. I think his name was Wong. He's played by Benedict Wong.
Yeah, Wong.
So, and keep in mind, I'm somewhat unfamiliar with the comics, but I still got a decent feel for these characters and their relationships. It looks pretty good. It's I'll start off by saying what I thought was very promising about it. The visual effects for this movie look incredible. They look very detailed. They look very creative. Honestly, even just outside of the special effects, the visual design of this movie, the art direction, looks very creative. They get into some pretty trippy stuff. Not one of those things where it's like a studio executive thinks oh, this is what trippy is. Yeah. I genuinely felt like it was trippy, and as many have gotten from the trailers, there's a lot of Inception influence for the special effects, but this time around, I also got a lot of 2001: A Space Odyssey influence, which I'm not complaining about. 2001 is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison right there.
Yeah, because there's scenes where he's traveling through the astral dimension, and it very much feels like the Stargate sequence in 2001.
And you said you saw it in 3D also?
Yes, and let me just say, Benedict Cumberbatch introduced the the footage by saying this film was made to be seen in IMAX 3D. And let me tell you, from what I saw, he's not wrong.
So definitely we're checking out in 3D.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes, because they work like with aspect ratio shifts that IMAX 3D now often does. Like,
that sounds cool.
and it looks very detailed, very immersive. It's one that I definitely cannot wait to see on the biggest screen possible.
Yeah.
My skepticism of it, and this isn't really skepticism. I think the movie looks good. Is it seems to be following like the origin story structure of one of these movies. Like, it looks kind of structurally similar to like Iron Man and Thor, where it seems like kind of a vain protagonist learning to let go of his ego. And my only fear is that it may be a little too similar to that. I want kind of a
Something
fresh,
different.
a little. I mean, if they're going to do that, a little bit of a different take on it. And so I'm worried that might be a bit repetitive. And my only other criticism, and this is basically nitpicking, is that Benedict Cumberbatch's American accent is a little shaky.
Really?
I was about to ask that because when I saw the trailer, I was like, sounds like Billy Crudup for a second. And I was like
Yeah.
so I was about to ask about his accent. It's kind of like
It's a little shaky from what I saw. It's a little inconsistent.
that's the thing I'm the most curious about. Not the special effect. I just want to know about Cumberbatch's accent.
But I mean, acting-wise, he looks fine. And basically, the other stuff I have to say about it is it looks like a Marvel movie. It's there's a lot of humor in the trailers. The humor feels very much something like what we've come to expect from a Marvel movie. They already showed a couple of Easter eggs, like a couple of lines that hint at a connection to Civil War. I'm not going to say how, but and they revealed the Stan Lee cameo.
What?
Really? In your little 15 minutes?
Yep.
Wow.
And again,
I know it's not a spoiler. We know it's going to come, but it's
I
like
know, but like
part of the
in
fun-
15
part of the-
minutes.
yeah. Part of the fun is like waiting to see when Stanley's going to show up.
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, maybe they filmed a bunch of different scenes with Stan Lee in it, and they're just testing it with random audiences.
He's the watcher.
actually in there like 10 times, but you didn't notice.
but yeah, it looks very much like a Marvel movie, and though, as always, I'm going to refrain from giving a full review before I see it. What I saw looked very promising, and I'm excited to see the rest.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you, Brian, for rubbing it in my face. I mean, for letting us know.
Anytime, and my pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming. Do
Thank
you
you.
have like a Twitter, or do you do reviews on anything? Like, do you have a YouTube page or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. My YouTube channel is just called Brian Kirchgessner. That's my username. It's pretty creative. My Twitter handle, I think, is Lost Fanatic Brian.
I think that's what it is. You follow me on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we connect, and that's about most of what I have. Honestly, I was hoping to start a review series soon, so
We'll hopefully have you on here again. All right, Brian?
absolutely. Thank you for having me on here.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And now we move on to Janett's got a few reviews for us. She has now. I've already reviewed one of the movies, and I haven't seen the other two, so I'm going to let her take the spotlight today, since it is her first day as host. So, Janett, it's all on you.
All right. Well, I know Richard already talked about Magnificent Seven before, so I'm just going to briefly kind of tell my take on it. So I had seen the original. I suppose you can call it. Do you call it original? Because it's like the original. I feel is Seven Samurai. So the Magnificent Seven.
I feel like Magnificent Seven is still its own distinct thing that you could call it. It's the original Magnificent Seven, because a lot has changed from like the location or the characters even. So that Seven Samurai, and it's as much as like Bug's Life. If you were to, Bug's Life is as different from Seven Samurai as
the
Magnificent
original
Seven is.
Bug's Life.
20 years from now, we're going to be saying that when they do a live action Bug's Life.
That'd be interesting. All right, so I had seen the original in a race film class, and so I had a lot to compare, a lot with racial stuff, cultural stuff, and just in general the style. I wanted to just bring up that Antoine Fuqua did an amazing job. Just the fact that he did Southpaw and Training Day, and then he did Magnificent Seven, just so many different genres. It's insane. He's so versatile. I just can't wait to see what he does next. He's already lined up to direct something else, right?
Yes, he is. He is signed on to direct a remake of Scarface.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, that's what his next one is. He's remaking.
I thought it was something else. Well, that's amazing. And then, so I just wanted to say that, like, obviously, like, you go into it it's an action Western. It is what you go for. I loved all the different characters, just like, in all the other remakes, there's a bunch of different characters, different races, different backgrounds. I wish that, just like in any movie that has a huge cast, that they go into each character's background a little bit more. Like, even in Suicide Squad, I just wish they went into each character a little bit more.
I wish they did a lot of things in Suicide Squad more.
Okay. And, but yeah, honestly, it was awesome. And just, looking at it, with race theory, just seeing, the people that ended up dead and
Spoiler
people that
alert.
lived. I'm not going to tell you who, but, it's just such a thought-provoking thing, whether it was supposed to be that or not, whether it was just a fun action movie or whether it was supposed to kind of, thought-provoke. It was awesome, and I loved it.
Can I ask who your favorite member of the team was? Who was your favorite of the 7?
Oh, my God. Not the Mexican. Sorry, my people. But I would say it was... oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? Oh my God, what's his name?
Chris Pratt?
No,
Ethan
not
Hawke?
Chris Pratt. No, you just keep going.
Denzel Washington?
Yeah, Denzel Washington.
I'd say, yeah,
I
Denzel-
was like, why am I blanking on Denzel Washington's name?
I know, I was Denzel was my favorite too.
He was just epic.
He was so epic.
He just took over. I loved it. And he, he was technically the lead, and then the other, the white woman who basically was so strong, she took over her entire community. That's just awesome. I love having those two people being the leads.
Oh, yeah, they were great.
So that's my take. Do you have anything else to add?
No, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, you said a lot of things I did. I just liked that it was as a fun Western. I don't know. I think Westerns are they've been deconstructed so much that I kind of miss the old John Wayne days of just fun classic Westerns.
Yeah.
Where they're treated like as superheroes or action movies where they're heroes and they
Yeah.
can be heroic things, and it was just fun to see that style brought back. And it wasn't too silly like Lone Ranger or Wild Wild West or Jonah Hex or Cowboys and Aliens were.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't too gritty. I love 3:10 to Yuma or True Grit, but they were still pretty gritty. So it was a nice middle balance between the two.
I totally agree. So the next film, Southside with You. So you haven't seen this.
I want to. I really did. No one would go with me.
If you guys haven't heard, Southside with You is basically a movie about Michelle Obama and Barack Obama's first date. I guess back then she was Michelle Robinson. So it's just, honestly, it's really Linklater-ish, where it's all in one day. They're just walking, they're just talking, they're just going on a date, even though Michelle doesn't really want to consider it a date. And it was a sweet movie. It was, honestly, I feel like it's the most honest started from the bottom, now we're here movie. Because it's if Barack's, he has a crappy car, his car has a hole on the bottom, he even has, kind of crappy habits, and he's not living in the best neighborhood, and, it's just really an origin movie about how they, got together.
All you had to say was origin story, and it made me 10 times more excited for it.
But it's not, epic. It's just, it's just sweet. They go to a museum. They go to a community event. They get ice cream. There's a lot of tension between them because, Michelle really doesn't want it to be a date because she's the only black female in her firm, and then she doesn't want to be seen as dating the only black male in her firm. She doesn't want that to be, send some sort of message. And they even go do the right thing, and there's a lot of social context in it. And it's, it was a good movie. I really liked it. It left me wanting more, because really all it is a first date, and then it just ends, and you're just but you become president, and you guys become the first black couple in the White House. I want to see you do that. But really, that's not what the movie was. And
You want to see a trilogy?
even a couple behind me, they were that's it, and I was yeah, I know, right?
You know how the story ends, though.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Spoiler alert: they get married, and they become president and first lady.
Yeah, no, it was nice. And you really get to see little beginnings of Barack, when they go to a community event, and this is where he really shows off to Michelle, and he does a whole speech really livening up the crowd and helping them change something in their community, and he does little speeches, and you can just tell his little mannerisms come to life. And so it's a really sweet movie, and if you can, check it out. It was limited release in August, so you can probably see it online somewhere. I don't think it'll be in theaters anymore.
Yeah, I think it's streaming. I think it's streaming right now, or if not, it'll be on DVD soon.
Maybe.
And you have one more movie to review, another one that I haven't seen.
Yeah, so Sully. For those that don't know, Sully is about Captain Sully who landed in Michigan Lake or River.
It's the Hudson River.
Oh my God, the Hudson.
You just saw the movie. And they made
Actually, I saw the movie like a couple weeks ago. So
they say the word in the trailer. They say the word Hudson River like 5 times.
Like a billion times. Yeah, you're right. My bad. So it's about the Hudson River. About the water landing in the Hudson River, and it's all about like the aftermath. Really, the trailer made me feel like it was gonna like be leading up to the water landing. And it's all about the aftermath, and it's almost like investigative crime drama, all about his emotions and everything that happens with his family and how society views him. He's seen as a hero, but he really feels like maybe he did something wrong. Maybe he made the wrong choice because, the investigation is all about you could have landed at the airport. You could have gone back. You really risk people's lives.
It's a very Clint Eastwood like thing in his movies where people like who are called heroes, but then like they question their heroics.
It was really emotional, and also that it was released on 9/11 weekend.
That I remember that was a point of discussion with a family member. I was like, was it appropriate to do that? Was it not appropriate? Mm-hmm. I think it was. Me personally, I thought it was kind of maybe uplifting because of the fact that there was a horrible, horrible event that happened where a plane falling out of the sky in New York ended in so much tragedy, and now we have a real-life event that happened actually 8 years later where a plane falling out of the sky in New York people were saved. It was like a heroic moment.
Yeah, so. I mean, I kind of, went back and forth with whether it was appropriate or not. And I read an article, and it's, their argument for it was like they didn't want to do it too late in the year, and they kind of decided that it was okay to do it on 9/11 weekend. And this whole story is about hope and getting New York together. Because you see everyone, literally so many people and so many communities coming together to rescue the people from the lake because it's literally like in January. It's like freezing. And bringing help and, blankets and all this stuff. And it's like the entire city coming together to help in time of tragedy. And, it's kind of sweet and, maybe to some that's comforting and nice. And maybe to others it'll kind of bring back bad memories. But, I'm not angry at the fact that it came out on 9/11. I think it could be, seen as appropriate.
Yeah.
But overall, I liked it. I felt like the only issue with it was that it showed the plane water landing too early, and then it kept flashing back to it like multiple times, and it just seemed like why am I seeing this again over and over again? Because there wasn't like an emotional impact for it. It was just like retelling the same story. And it wasn't building up to anything. So I think that was my biggest issue with it. But overall, I think it was a good story about American hero, and I really liked it. So.
Well, there you guys go. You guys got 3 reviews today for the price of 1. So I wanted to thank people Janett, obviously, joining the show, being a co-host. Awesome. I want to thank our special guests Scott and Brian who came on. Both of them, I love talking about Murderess and I love talking about Doctor Strange. It's always fun to get more people on this show. It's always fun to have, it's a very fun, laid-back environment here. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Janett, where can they follow you?
You guys can follow me I have a YouTube page, My Road to Hollywood, or on Twitter at Janett Salas 93.
Awesome, guys. If you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at RLFink94, and I'm also on Instagram at RLFink94. And guys, please, if you like this video, subscribe, tell your friends, like us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. We're posting more movie stuff every day. So, guys, thank you for watching and staying within the frame. Have a good day, mate. Cheers to our first show.